We do have several folks who have joined us tonight, right, to discuss this debate that we've watched.
Absolutely. Democratic strategist Nathan Barankin joins us here, as well as Republican strategist Tamika Hamiton. Thank you guys so much for joining us and sharing your insights with us. Let's start off with a few questions here. Any initial insights that you both may have? Certainly a historic big night for the country, all eyes around the country, around the state, and around the world as well. Let's start off with you, Nathan, and we'll give you, Tamika, a chance to respond here. Some initial thoughts, a striking different performance from the previous debate with Trump and Biden for sure.
Night and day. It was the difference between everything. What I think the country got to see today was a Kamala Harris who came across as A, presidential, B, focused on a clear message, which was she planned on being a president for all people and relating it directly back to the audience and all the viewers. And third was to, on many different occasions, she successfully provoked Trump into engaging in his sort of spewing of random words, which were hard to understand.
And they are both so rhetorically skilled. We know they are both great speakers, great on the debate stage. And as far as your thoughts on the Republican side, how did Trump do, Tamika, in bolstering his messages?
I think that one of the things that I wanted to take away was, like, does this debate move the needle for voters? You know, that 20% that's going to be focused, the undecided. And I think this is one of those things where it's a draw. I like I was telling you guys the backstage, is like I really feel bad for the American people because they were looking for substance, they were looking for policy, they were looking for who's going to make our lives better, because at the end of the day, you know, gas is up, groceries are up. And so I did not hear that substance. And so, you know, I don't think that they performed in a way that is appealing to that undecided.
You know, we have heard and seen so many people talk about how politics is really almost like a team sport these days. You know, even if your team loses, you know, you're still saying, we'll get them next time, if you will. Talk to me about if you feel this moved the needle in any way. Was either side able to bring on any new voters, those folks who are perhaps still undecided? Were they able to bring people over to their side?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't see it. I mean, if we're talking, you know, having some quips, having some memes, I think that was successful. And like Nathan said, you know, she was able to execute getting Donald Trump to kind of get on a rant about some things that normally we would just be focused on policy. But I don't see this as like a moving a needle for people to come on either side.
We saw that Kamala Harris, her team is now tweeting, well, when's the next debate? You know, they seem fairly pleased with how things went today. What do you think?
100%. I agree with them. Actually, if I were them, I wouldn't consider doing a next debate and make Donald Trump beg for one, because he will have to at least agree to a more fair forum than what he would otherwise probably prefer. I will say, with respect to the debate tonight, in terms of converting voters to one side or another, I agree with Tamika. There probably wasn't a lot of conversion, but I also don't think that was the goal. I think the goal tonight, because the country, the state sometimes is very evenly divided. This race is going to be decided by a very small number of people in a handful of states. Almost everyone has already decided which team they're on. What's different is whether your team maintains enthusiasm through election day.
Right.
And I think the goal for Kamala Harris tonight was to say, I'm not just a 7-week wonder. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to run through this campaign and all the way through the finish line and keep that enthusiasm up for her team. And what that means is people will show up and actually vote. And that's how races are decided.
And we know the debate started with the economy, a topic that voters all across the state, all across the country, in both parties, everyone is feeling the pinch still. And we know in regards to polls, it hasn't really pulled very strongly for the Democrats. We know that this was an issue that Kamala Harris has faced. Is a challenge that she has to face. Did she meet that challenge tonight with her messaging?
I think she did the best that she possibly could, given that individuals are feeling economic pain at home. She spoke directly to the people, as I mentioned, saying that she was going to be a president for them, and she actually understands how difficult it is now to buy a home, to buy a car, to care for your children, to pay your taxes. Those are all burdens. And she outlined a plan, an opportunity economy plan, that was designed to help those people who are feeling the pinch right now. How much it resonates, we'll have to see.
And then on the Republican side, former President Donald Trump, he has a track record. He obviously was the president before. He did talk about those accomplishments. Harris did also bash him on his tariff, so to speak. Did he defend his message tonight? Did it resonate with many, perhaps the undecided or independent voters?
Yeah, so I go back to the story of a family member who's dealing with, a financial crisis right now. And I've said before, she was all in for Democrats back in 2016. And this year, she's saying she voted for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris has not done a good job of making sure that people understand she's currently vice president. And she's running as if she's not. And right now, these past 4 years have been hard. And I'm on my husband and I. He's our sole breadwinner in our home, so we're feeling the pinch. And so my thing is, okay, what is she going to do right now as vice president? Because she is in power and she can do things. And so this is going to be the situation where she has to convince voters that she's up to the task and she can do things now, but she hasn't done those. And so, again, it's going to be up down to those last few states, like Nathan said, and I just don't see how she's going to be able to pull it off.
Okay, I'm hearing you both say that this is the stage of the campaign where essentially it's about who can mobilize their voters to actually show up, who can encourage their folks to get out, who it's about a ground game, essentially.
Correct.
You don't know if these debates really move the needle as far as changing votes or things of that nature. But they are gamesmanship, right?
Correct.
And so to that end, what grade would you give each candidate?
Oh, tonight, I think she did really well. I would say a B.
B?
And, yeah. I think Donald Trump, I'd give him a C. He was fighting for his life tonight.
I agree. I agree on the Trump grade. C. I think he's capable of being much better than he was tonight.
Yeah.
And I think she exceeded expectations. And anytime you do that, that's an A, a minimum A.
But you both agree that Donald Trump seemed as if he was on the defensive.
Oh, most definitely.
And why do you think that is?
Is it the format, perhaps the format?
I think
the optics,
I think there were some moments where he was getting fact checked and she wasn't. I saw that there were some moments where he had to defend things that were clearly fact checked a long time ago, like the Charlottesville thing. That's something that has been debunked several times over by journalists, and so he's having to defend himself again. For me, if I was advising him, I wouldn't even get into these arguments. I would quickly answer, move on. So that's my take on that.
We also heard tonight, I will just say, some discussions around people's pets being eaten and things of that nature. We do have a verified investigation that our team has done that we'll have later in the show on that particular topic as well. Final thoughts, because I'm understanding that we have just a few seconds left. What would you all say about tonight and the impact it's had on this race for the White House?
I think for Kamala Harris, tonight was a very, very big night. She has come into this race in the last 7 weeks and rejuvenated the Democratic Party across the country and created a lot of excitement and enthusiasm. And there was a really big risk tonight that if she stumbled, that could all start to fall apart. Instead, she did the exact opposite, and she crushed it, and the enthusiasm is only going to build from here, and that spells trouble for Donald Trump.
He had to flip on a dime. Your thoughts?
My final thoughts are, I want the American people to get involved and do everything they can to get informed about both candidates. I want them to not sit this one out because they're exhausted or frustrated or depressed and with what's happening in our country. And I think it's just so important that at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, that they know that they're the ones that put people in power. And so they should be the ones that they should be really looking at candidates that are considering them at the end of the day.
Yeah, we have less than 2 months till November 5th, Election Day. I can imagine the momentum only building up until then. Thank you both so much for being here. Our special guests, Nathan Barankin and Tamika Hamiton. Thank you guys, and we'll speak to you again soon.